Welcome. Glad you are here for the Leader Seminar, The Future of Live Production, Test and Measurement. It seems like thoughts are already turning to 2026, another packed calendar with the US, Canada, and Mexico hosting the FIFA World Cup. It's going to be a busy time, and with all the complexities around live production, many of you are already considering how new technology can help you deliver those events more efficiently and more reliably. We have been listening to you. We're tracking industry events too, which is why we're here today, because Steve and Kevin are going to take you through key roles that you may have yourself in live production. Camera shader, HDR supervisor, EIC. You're going to see benefits from groundbreaking new test and measurement tools that have been designed just for you to meet all these evolving needs in live production. And they're going to give you a look at the LPX500 True Hybrid IP SDI test and measurement waveform monitor. Over to you, Kevin and Steve.
Cindy, thank you once again. And hello, Steve. Here we go again.
Yes, we do, Kevin. How are you doing today?
I'm good. As I said, we're over here in London. We are enjoying the fourth heat wave of the summer, because we now measure heat waves, because as we discussed, I know they don't even register on your temperature scale, but they do over here. So anyway, Steve, one of the questions I frequently get asked is, why is live production always the first to adopt new technology? You know, wouldn't you want to sort of do this kind of quietly hidden away instead of doing it in front of millions of people?
Yeah, but it's always the one that's closest to the action and closest to the new things that are going on.
And, you know, as you and I have discussed, our good friends in outside broadcast production have done this many times, haven't they? They were the first to go from monochrome to colour. I don't think you and I were around when that one happened, so we can sort of put the rose-tinted glasses on that one, literally.
Yes.
Obviously, we were about and enjoyed the challenges that analog to digital brought us and the benefits.
Yes.
And obviously, you know, we're now going through, some people are still moving from SD to HD, but then there's the HD to UHD and the mix kind of in the middle of that. SDR to HDR, you know, this is the one that I think probably has the biggest impact, because the consumer can see the difference and they don't need to understand the technology behind it. It just looks better, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Early on, I was actually at Dodger Stadium when they did a test run. And like you said, it was out of an OB van running Dodger game, going out 709 and PQ and HLG. So they were trying all kinds of things out.
And obviously, lots of our customers are now going through the transition from SDI to IP. As such, the consumer at the end doesn't see a difference in the program. But this is changing the way our industry operates, isn't it? In basically every dimension.
It is. It is.
So why do these high pressure, kind of high profile live production environments do this? Why are they always the first to adopt? And obviously it's typically OB trucks that we see, you know, parked there in the lot when it comes to a major sporting event, concerts, major broadcasts, you know, where image quality, latency and reliability are absolutely critical. And these productions demand cutting edge technology to deliver the best viewer experience and a competitive edge for the broadcasters, because everybody is challenging for eyeballs. So let's take a look at it. OB trucks, as we said, Steve, they're modular, they're isolated, and it makes them ideal, doesn't it, for trying things?
Everything's there in one place, and you can get from, you know, camera to out the door right there in one place. So it makes a perfect venue to test things.
As we said, compare that to a large studio or playout facility. You know, OB trucks have fewer interconnections, so it's easier to refit with new technologies. And it's no surprise that the first kind of IP implementations were OB trucks. The first HDR productions, as Steve's just described there, was an OB truck. You know, it just makes logical sense. It's self-contained and it's the perfect kind of test bed system. And the great thing is that as manufacturers, you know, we work closely with the OB companies to understand where they're permanently pushing the envelope, don't we, Steve?
Yes, yeah, we're in contact with them all the time, finding out what their needs are and how we can help them achieve their goals.
And, you know, OB companies, you're working in a fiercely competitive, you know, environment here where, you know, media rights holders are always looking for efficiencies and savings without compromising the end product that's being delivered or enhancing the end product to give customers, you know, more of a unique experience. And that does involve the latest technologies, 2110,
Yes.
HDR, Dolby Atmos, you know, they're all part of the factors that, you know, rights holders want to see associated with their product. So in summary, you know, the OB truck kind of sits at that sweet spot for innovation, agility, and necessity. And it's where we for years have sort of been involved, talking to people, understanding what their challenges are when it comes to test and measurement. So Steve and I sat for many hours and had our portrait done, staring into the crystal ball of broadcast television. And when the mist cleared, we have the new LeaderPhabrix LPX500.
It's a great brand new platform with a lot of horsepower and many, many new features.
So for those of you familiar with Leader and Phabrix products, this is the first jointly developed product between our two engineering teams. The Phabrix engineering team in the UK, which obviously is famous for developing the SX handheld products, the RX series and the QX series, and our engineers in Japan, who have been responsible for the Zen series and the LV56 and 7600. So to put those two teams together, shall we say, it's been anticipated eagerly inside the company what this would look like, and having had chance now to test it and evaluate it, it doesn't disappoint.
Not at all.
So it's 4 fully featured analyzers, and they can be SD right the way up to UHD. They can be IP, they can be SDI. They can be HDR, they can be SDR. Pretty much anything you want to throw at this device in any combination of channels can be analyzed simultaneously.
Yes. Yeah, and you don't rob something back when you run more than one analyzer at a time. Each analyzer is 100% there from, like you said, SD all the way through 12G and in any format within those on any input, be it SDI or IP. And as you can see on the back of the unit here, on the left-hand side, there's 25 gig inputs. On the right-hand side, there's 100 gig inputs. So, Kevin?
But before we get ahead of ourselves,
Yes, which I do
we've got 4 12 gig SDI inputs, and they're proper full-size BNCs, not those horrible little fiddly ones that engineers with fat fingers struggle with. And there are 4 12 gig reclock loop through outputs, and also there is an SDI generator output from this. 25 gig SFP interface, as you'd expect. But I think the game changer is this one, isn't it, Steve? A pair of 100 gig QSFP connections.
Because if you're going to do four 4Ks, that doesn't fit in a 25 meg or 25 gig input. So we have a full bandwidth 100 gig QSFP slots for the ability to be able to do four 4Ks on 2110.
And in -7 mode as well.
Yes.
Because don't forget, we work in a broadcast world here where we expect the most inopportune thing to happen at the most inappropriate moment.
And it's got two very large fans on it. One of the reasons for the fans being the size they are is so that we can run them idling. So there's very, very little to no fan noise whatsoever.
So let's take a look at a world of an OB truck and who uses test and measurement products. Well, there are kind of three distinct areas, and the one that most people are familiar with is the camera shader. And as we can see here, we have a camera shader who is, shall we say, concentrating, because obviously things might not be quite going according to plan. The HDR supervisor, and we'll go into more detail about the very demanding requirements they have when it comes to test and measurement products. And the engineer in charge. Basically, the gentleman where the buck stops, isn't it, Steve?
Yes.
So let's go into a bit more detail. So for those of you who are camera shader, I apologize now, but for those who don't understand the position, so this is the preserve of what we call a vision engineer, located either in a studio, an OB truck, or with the advent of IP remote production centers in a virtual gallery. And they are typically monitoring multiple cameras simultaneously. And their role is quite simple, to make sure those cameras look identical. And they do that by using such tools as white balance, the exposure, the iris control, and this allows them to make sure that when the technical director switches between sources, the green grass on the playing surface looks the same. And this was all well and good when you had cameras from one camera manufacturer. But now, if you've watched any sporting productions recently, you'll find that people are using drones. And drone cameras are not broadcast cameras that can be picked up and flown around the venue. You've got cameras on wires like spider cams. Again, they're different types of camera. And at some of the major events now, Steve, we're seeing these single chip, shallow depth of field cinema cameras.
Yes.
That,
yeah.
you know, cinema high-end cameras are the price point they are for a reason, because of the technology in them. So suddenly to get a 3-chip CCD camera to match is quite a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, some of them are, you know, high-speed cameras, so you can go back and get a beautiful slow-mo of what was going on. So everything's different. And like you said, they've all got to look the same.
So the tools they use for this are the waveform, vector scope, and the diamond pattern. So this allows for seamless transitions. But rather than me talk about it, we're going to let Steve loose, and now live, we're going to do a demo.
So one of the things that Kevin has not talked about is the LPX. Not only can it do 4Ks, but it has an extended screen and can do things across multiple screens. So if you want to pull a normal shader type operation here, I can go in and pull up some presets and look at a preset. We can do a preset where you only are using one screen, and you've got your diamond, you got the vector scope and an RGB, or it may be just a uh, a view of a Luma waveform rather than that, and you could be running a picture on the other screen, or we could go out and actually do a two stream, two input, and actually have two different views of everything that's going on. So from the shader perspective, there is a lot that you can do, even down to normal screens here, where you might have a single input screen where you may just want vector scope and a nice Luma waveform. And this gives you the ability to have the old school tool set where you are looking at the vector scope and you're not looking at a nice Luma waveform right next to each other, all coming off the same exact platform. So there's a lot of different things that you can do for the shading aspects of this. Kevin?
I'd agree. I mean, the flexibility you've got here, the only restriction is your imagination.
Yeah.
And as I said, if you have the second display, you know, that really extends the real estate and the number of tools that you can have up. And we've already got some customers who are looking at this from the point of view of buying one LPX500 and having one operator rack 2 camera channels on the primary display, and then on the extended display, the second operator having 2 camera channels that are completely independently operated. So
yeah, so
it's
here
really giving you flexibility.
That exact scenario right here. This could be running 2 different shaders off the same setup, to where I've got one input on the left-hand side, got a completely different input on the right-hand side, and have my diamond, my vector and waveform, my diamond vector. This guy wanted to see an RGB waveform right now, and that can easily be changed over to just a Luma shot if you just want to see why and look at it. So it gives you complete flexibility that the main screen and what we call the extended screen, which is a duplicate of the main screen, has the same power, is completely independent of each other.
And Steve, can you just show how quick it is to bring that up to like a full screen? So one of the analysis tools. So say I want the waveforms full screen.
Just double click on it and can go through different iterations depending on how you have the scope set up. And I'll talk more about that when we get into the EIC side.
So as you can see, it's an incredibly flexible tool that you can, on day one, set up to replicate your existing analysis tools, but then behind it, you've got so much more that you can start to pull up and start to use to enhance your production.
Yes, and can even look at, going through different layouts, different setups, even down to having quad inputs and 4 quad inputs on one side, 4 quad inputs on the other side, and use all the analysis capabilities. So even when you get out of the shader or the engineer in charge view, I mean, the flexibilities are incredible.
So, I mean, although we're talking about live production, Steve, this could easily slot into a master control environment.
Yes.
Where you've got multiple services you need to monitor. You know, have you got closed captions? Have you got the right audio? Have you got all of that non-picture stuff that's more important than the picture?
Yes.
This is the extended display, and we have a rack mount kit that allows you to obviously slot those in nicely and then install them It's 3 RU high, 1 rack width, you know, and it basically just looks so clean and nice, and you know, the high quality displays just really set these off. So the second position, and this is the one that's always been more challenging in a live production environment, is the HDR supervisor. Yes, he's the one guy on the truck who is looking at an HDR monitor, because if everybody else sees it, then everybody else will start trying to adjust their pictures to look like his pictures, but they're not looking at them on HDR displays. So as he said, his role is typically high-end sports, or their role, and the HDR supervisor plays this critical role of ensuring consistency and accuracy of both the HDR and the SDR image throughout the production chain. Because while we all get excited, don't we, Steve, about the nice new shiny toys,
Yes.
there is a lot of the world out there that is still watching standard dynamic range. And
Like new toys.
And that SDR production is probably paying for the truck to be at the venue. So, you know, you have to have the tools to monitor both HDR and SDR simultaneously. And the great thing with the LPX is that you can now do this in UHD. So HDR supervisors want to see the highest possible quality, the widest color space, basically the best, the most of everything. And with the LPX, here we have, I've got 2 channels. So Analyzer A is an SDI signal, and I've configured it to show me the picture, waveform, vector scope, CIE color chart, and the video standard analyzer. And if I want to just double check what that is, as you saw, I can just double click on that and it will go increase its size. So as you can see here, I've got a UHD resolution image at 50p. It's 12 gig 2SI and it's Rec 709. Now on my channel B analyzer, I've got now, instead of SDR, I've got the HDR. So this is, as it's telling me, it's an HLG signal. It's 2020. And both of them are 4K. So in the past, I'd sort of have to switch between them. But now I can put them both side by side. And there's nothing to stop that being IP and SDI. So whatever the signals are and wherever you need to monitor them, you can monitor in the highest resolution and their original color space and format, which nobody could do in the past, Steve. You're sort of having to switch between them or have multiple analysis tools. So again here, this is showing me that this is the HD SDR analysis side, and over here is my UHD, and one is SDI and one is IP. As an HDR supervisor, I don't care whether it's SDI or IP, I just care about the pictures and the quality. And we were fortunate that we had an LPX that was used on an HDR and SDR production, and this little video was shot showing how simple and easy it is to select the waveform display and configure it for the particular analysis that you need for this production, and then how easy it is to increase that to full screen so that you can make the necessary adjustments on both the HDR and the SDR sources. And then you can see them again, both side by side, to make sure that both your HDR and SDR production is, you know, the quality you expect. So the engineer in charge, or as I already alluded to, basically where the buck stops. This is a senior technical authority responsible for managing and overseeing all engineering aspects of a live production in an OB truck. And their role is critical to ensure the smooth and successful broadcast, both from a technical and an operational standpoint. This is the guy that will be completely unfazed when basically everything is going wrong. Am I correct, Steve?
That's it. That's it. He's got to make sure the HDR and the SDR look presentable and look exactly the same on the proper monitors, and all camera sources that are coming in, be they SDR being up converted to HDR or HDR being down converted to SDR. All look good.
So the great thing with the LPX, Steve, is that now we can have like 16 tools available to us, and they can be configured for, should we say, that monitoring while the production's working well. And here we here we have an example of the sort of tools that would be used for an SDI engineer in charge. So obviously we've got the picture, we've got the waveform vector CIE color chart, diamond pattern, your color imagery tools. But then also you've got on the right hand side your eye pattern, your jitter, your timing, and the event log, which is hopefully not full of errors. And Steve has alluded to there, we can have a dual analyzer, so we can monitor 2, 3, or 4 signals simultaneously on a single screen. And if you're working in an IP environment, again, we can have your tools of preference, so your waveform vector and picture, along with the IP streams, your 2022-7 monitoring, again your timing, along with your audio components. And in a hybrid world, we can put them both together. So on the left hand side of the screen here, you can see that I've got my eye and jitter with my waveform and audio. And on the right hand side here, I've got the IP. So it's telling me my -7 operation, my PIT histogram, along with my video and audio. And Steve, I'll leave you to explain these, because you did these with the extended display, and that just kind of really opens up what you can do, can't it?
Yes, it does.
So as you can see here, we've got the extended display, and one is running 709, one is running 2020.
Yeah, and I can bring up, just pulling a preset, I can go to a 2-screen Luma where I actually have HLG running on the right hand side. You can see the nit scale. There's my 203 white point. On the left hand side, it's the same exact output, because you don't necessarily need to see a picture on this because you're going to have reference monitors running. So if you don't want it, but right now I do have the HLG running on the right hand side with my CIE chart, my vector scope, waveform, and you can have this set up in many different configurations. If you'd like to see a YRGB parade, we can turn around and put up a YRGB of this. And as soon as my video comes back, there we go. You can actually see the difference in the waveforms between the HLG stopping at 203 for white and where we're going up to 100% on the 709 side. And you can see it's set for 709 on the left and 2020 color on the right. And doesn't matter what the format is, anything from HD all the way up through 4K. And if you want to go as a single, we could actually even do single. If you'd like to see a picture in the display, we can have shorten the waveform down, have that. If you want to look at any of these, just double click on the waveform. It'll pop up full screen. Double click, go back. There's the waveform. Go back, take the CIE chart up, put it back, take the vector scope, pull it up, put it back. And so it makes things really, really handy to be able to go through these different screens and have things set up and be able to look at them, take screenshots, have different layouts. One of the things we've added is the ability to do, which I can't really show easily here, is actually finger swipes between layouts. So if you wanted a layout that had the waveform in it, but I want to see the waveform stretched larger, I could have another layout that just has the waveform all the way down the right-hand side of the screen. And it would just be a finger swipe to get there and a finger swipe to get back. So there's a lot of different things that we can do. And if you don't go with the extended screen, I can put it all on a single screen, as you can see here. The second screen is not being used at this point. And we could look at that and actually see it a little bit bigger here, to where, again, I've got my 709 on the left-hand side here. I got my, my HLG 2020 on the left-hand side, and my 709 on the right-hand side of the screen. It all depends on how you want to make it up and have things go.
So, as Steve has alluded to, what else is new? And the LPX offers a notably redesigned and intuitive layout architecture that fundamentally enhances how users configure, view, and navigate instruments in your day-to-day operations. So we can display up to 16 analysis tools per screen, and the LPX supports these distinct layouts per screen. So as you've seen, you can have one set on your primary, and if you've got the extended, you can have another set of tools up on that side. But what we've also added are layouts. Now, what do we mean by layouts? So you have a preset and you recall that, and it's going to look at either a single channel or a combination of channels. And then what you can do is with the layouts is, as Steve's alluded to, you can basically swipe on the screen and it will now bring up another set of analysis tools based on those channels that you're looking at. So here I've built up several layouts, and here we have my audio for the two channels that I'm looking at. And I can sort of lock tools that I want common. So I've got the picture here in top left and top right for channel A and channel B with the event log in the middle. So every time I now just swipe through, they stay in the same position, but the tools below it change depending on what I'm trying to analyze. So you might want to look at SDI on one and IP on the other. The flexibility allows you to do that. And here we have tools. On this particular case, I'm bringing up with the timing information. On the left is my traditional SDI measurements, and on the right I've got my PTP information with my domain, grandmaster and such like. And if you want to go back, you simply swipe the other way. So you can build up a preset that then has multiple layouts off of it, and you can quickly switch between them. And again, you can simply double tap the screen to increase the size of the analysis tool. The other challenge we're obviously seeing now is the growth in remote production, or REMI. And this is a workflow where the technical production of a live broadcast, like switching, audio mixing, graphics and replay, is handled from a centralized or remote location. People are no longer, or as many of them, at the venue. Anybody who's looked into this, you'll know the benefits. Obviously, you know, lower travel and accommodation costs because less people are there. Smaller on-site footprints. These IP head-end trucks are a lot smaller because they don't have all of the equipment inside them. And obviously access to centralized scalable resources. You know, it's easier to staff and manage operate because people can know where they're going and what time they need to be there. And obviously the sustainability and reducing our carbon footprint is, you know, one of the things that we are taking very seriously in this industry. But the challenges of remote production, it requires robust latency and connectivity. And obviously IP workflows using 2110, NDI and SRT are now giving us that low latency, high reliability. But we do have the complexity of synchronization and timing. So PTP and GPS, which if any of you have joined us before, know that Steve and I have talked about this. And signal integrity and monitoring become critical. So you need to use tools not just like the LPX500, but there are other tools out there, remote monitoring like Providius, that give you that overall view of the system. So the LPX500 has been designed specifically to overcome these challenges and delivering the same intuitive test and measurement experience, whether you're local or remote. And it does it as follows. You still have the open REST API that the Leader and Fabrix products are renowned for, giving you the ability to control them remotely. As Steve's been showing you, we have a no VNC connection. And even if you've got the extended display, that's not a problem because you can run 2 instances, can't you, Steve?
Yes, that's what I was doing, running 2 no VNCs.
For those of you familiar with the QX series, we have the SMPTE 2110 monitor display output, and that can be embedded into your GUI of third-party products so that you've got all of the fine analysis tools from the LPX inside your network monitoring tool. Obviously, we'll still have a DisplayPort output that allows you to go into a KVM and connect remotely that way. And finally, we still have an SDI monitor output, Steve, don't we?
Yes.
Because
Put it back into your router.
SDI ain't going anywhere in a rush. So, to kind of wrap up here, the LPX ensures wherever you are in an OB truck, remote production hub, or working from a centralized MCR, your test and measurement workflows remain robust, reliable, and probably most importantly, familiar to you. So if you're traveling to Amsterdam next month for IBC, we will be demonstrating the LPX500 in both its SDI and IP operations and its hybrid, and also in a live environment with a live camera, so you can come round, play with the camera control unit and see how fast and reactive the LPX is, and try the layouts, see why it is the future of test and measurement.
Yes. It's the only tool on the market that can completely give you 400% independent, full functioning engines to be able to do any type of analysis on any one of the engines. The engines can be configured for SDI or IP. There's nothing that slows you down or takes any measurement or any application away from the unit running multiple inputs. And on one screen, or you could spread them across 2 screens in any order that you would like to.
Yeah. So we said we were going to run for about 45 minutes, and look at that. We're getting better at this. If we do more, we might actually look like we know what we're doing. So Cindy, have we had any questions while we've been chatting away there?
So many questions, A few people have asked about getting a demo of the LPX500. And so Fallon and Catherine have put a link in the chat, and just sign up for a demo and we'll either organize it with you at a show or come to your facility or do an online meeting or something like that. So we'll get you covered for sure.
I mean, our details are on the screen. So if you are in the Americas, Steve's your man. If you are in Europe, please reach out to me. You know, seeing is believing. I started off 2 weeks ago going through you know using it in anger for the first time, and I was sitting there with a mouse. And to be honest, after 10 minutes, I just got rid of the mouse and I'm just using the touch screen because it is just so intuitive. It's so reactive. You know, if you've used other touchscreen products, you've got to see this because you know this is unbelievable, isn't it, Steve?
It's incredibly responsive. It's amazing. It really is.
So yeah, just fill in the form at the bit.ly link that Fallon put in. That's like bit.ly/meet with leader, or like Kevin said, you can reach out to Kevin or Steve directly, but we'll take care of you in any case. Couple other questions. One of them is we had someone who wanted to ask about support for 4096 by 2160 2398 in the LPX 500 for folks who are doing D-Cinema and DCI format. So just wanted to throw that out there, see if you had a comment.
Yes, yes, those formats are supported.
Question about doing a zoom gain on the vector.
Yes, on the shader screens I had it set up so that the targets were in place and the vector was zoomed out to 2 times. So we can do a zoom out where the targets stay exactly where you want them and do a 2x gain on the vector itself, leaving the targets. Or we can zoom the entire display out. You have your choice, go both ways.
Good. With some of the functionality you showed today, a question came in just asking how might you compare the LV7600W and the LPX 500? Is there a comparison? Are there things to know about with respect to what you showed today?
So the 5600 and 7600W are not going away. If you've used them, you know that they can analyze 4 HD services simultaneously. The challenge has always been in UHD that we can only analyze 1, and you know you can connect 4 12 gig SDIs to it, and if you step through, you're looking at input 1, then you select 2, 1 is deselected, 2 comes up. We've never been able to do it side by side. And you know, talking to the HDR supervisors, you know, they say this is absolutely critical to them. The larger these productions get, the more they've got to be on their game looking at HDR, and they could well have, you know, 3 or 4 HDR services that they're looking at simultaneously, and they literally want them side by side. So
there are a few tools that are in the Zen series that are not in this particular series that are more geared to the backside of the production, not necessarily closer to the truck. You know, we have full Dolby D, Dolby E decode. We have the ability to use LUTs. So there's a few features that the Zen still have that will eventually be implemented into this product, but they're down the road just a little bit.
Now, you just brought up Dolby, and somebody has asked about Dolby Atmos support.
Not yet.
Okay.
It's on the target list, and to be.
well, I'm gonna play devil's advocate on this one, because OBS at the last Olympics provided everybody with the individual audio channels and then let the rights holders do the Dolby Atmos mix.
Yes. Yeah. So at the place where we were talking about this, Atmos itself typically does not exist. That is produced on the backside where this is, and you'd be looking at all of the discrete channels where this box is sitting in the applications we were talking about today.
So it's gonna be interesting to see you know, the you know the production companies around this handing it over to the media rights holders and saying, well, you create the mix you want.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they can end up with hundreds or thousands of mixes that they're responsible for. Just give them the 16 or 32 channels and say, there you go, that's left, right, there's your, off you go, you do it.
Yeah. There are quite often 11 channels, and you make out what you want out of the 11 channels.
Yeah.
Good. Another question around, is it possible to measure VANC with respect to SCSI 104 as per SMPTE 2010?
There's a lot of numbers in that question, wasn't there, Steve?
I know, right? I was trying to get them all in there. Get them all. We can always circle back on that too.
So we had
if there's
2110 and we had SC 104.
Yeah, so
SCSI
SCSI
104.
Yeah, SCSI 104s in 2110. Not there yet. The Zen series on the other side of us will do it, but this product, not quite yet, but it is planned.
Good. Any information about cost yet, or anything, or is it a kind of a come see us at the show and or get
Please.
a demo and find out?
There's, because you can do single screen, do dual screen, 25 gig or 100 gig SDI. I mean, there's
so many
options.
choices.
So yeah, it's a configuration.
So it's worth reminding that the base unit is considered to be an IP unit, and then SDI is an option.
Yes.
And its base configuration is 2 channels. So if you want 4 channels, it's a license that obviously adds channel 3 and 4. It's a license that adds 20, because its standard operation is 10 gig, adds 25, and then there is another license that adds the 100 gig operation if you require that. And again, UHD is a license, and so is HDR. So you basically buy it on day one as per your requirements today, and then should they change or you need to enhance it, you buy the software licenses.
And virtually all of that is software licenses to turn on.
That's great. That answers another question someone had about how the pricing works on the different inputs. So that's perfect, and really addresses the future of live production test and measurement. Nicely done.
So
I want to thank everybody for attending. I hope this gave you a nice overview of this product. It's amazing what you can do in this box, considering it'll do 4 12Gs or 4 4K on 100 gig input without any reduction in processing or ability to look at anything you want to look at.
Yeah. And if you want to watch this again, the catch-up will be available on the Leader YouTube channel. So if you're not subscribed, why not? I ask myself. But no, please subscribe, and there may be some extra bits that we might put into that. If you subscribe, you'll get notification when we post new videos and stuff like that. So Steve and Cindy, thank you once again. Next stop, Amsterdam, end of summer. Well, in the northern hemisphere, it's the end of summer. You guys in the southern hemisphere, and that it's spring, and you can be full of vim and vigor. Whereas we're all going to dig out those thick winter. Well, Steve won't dig out a thick winter coat because it will drop down to the 80s in LA. But thank you everybody once again for joining us. Hopefully, you'll get your chance to get your hands on an LPX really soon, and you'll see that this is the future of broadcast live production.
Everybody, thank you very much. And like I said, we've got Kevin and my contacts in there. Send us an email, and we're more than happy to answer them.
And there we go. We'll just leave that on the screen for the last couple of seconds. So thank you very much. Have a good day. And for those of you coming, I'll see you in Amsterdam.
Cindy, as always, thank you.
Thank you.